Hi, I'm Naz. You're watching this video as you're about to start work on a Watson Hughes site. We've tried to keep this induction video as short as possible. The information included is important, so we would appreciate you turning off any mobile phones and paying attention during this presentation. Before we start, does everyone here speak and understand English? If not, then you need an interpreter to explain the information contained in this video. You will have been given a form to complete and should have filled out the top section, and you need to put your site safe number and expiry date in the boxes provided. If you haven't done a course, then you can't start on site. We ask you to list medical conditions and medications and where you keep it and any other information that may be helpful in an emergency. Watson Hughes Health and Safety Policy and Site-Specific Safety Plan are kept in site office and available for you to read should you choose. Your own employer also has a health and safety policy along with a SSSP for this job, which you should be familiar with. In that policy, your employer will outline how you are expected to carry out tasks safely, including control measures and PPE for hazards you may be exposed to. There may be generic task analysis forms which will need to be modified to reflect the site conditions on your site. Emergency procedures. Should there be an emergency on site, you will hear 3 blasts on the air horn. On hearing the horn, leave site as safely and quickly as possible and make your way to the nearest assembly point. The location will have been identified on site notice board and clearly identified with signage. Do not stop to collect any personal belongings. You'll have signed in the Daily Subcontractors Register when starting work. We use this when we have a roll call during emergency evacuations. If you leave site for any reason, then you must sign out on register and sign back in should you return. Leading hands should be responsible for workers from their company and check all are accounted for at assembly point. You will remain at assembly point until all clear is given or you have been told you can leave. The Watson Hughes qualified first aiders are identified on site notice board. If any of you have first aid qualifications, then let the people around you know or put some ID on your hard hat. First aid kits are located in main site office and may be situated at other locations around site and can be identified by the following symbol. Ding. If you have a company vehicle, then you should have your own first aid kit, which is for your company's employees. Is located in main site office. Should you carry out any tasks which could result in starting a fire, then your company must supply your own fire extinguisher. I'm very unique with words. Site hazards. The main hazard board will be situated at the entrance to the site, and depending on the size of project, others may be placed around the site. Many activities are carried out at high level, and accessing these areas safely is part of our job. Depending on height and ground conditions, we may choose to use a mobile scaffold. We may choose to work off an elevated work platform. Watson Hughes require a risk assessment to be carried out for the use of EWPs. You will need to be trained in all EWPs and wear a suitable harness for most instances. A rescue plan must also be in place when using harnesses, or if working inside, we may choose to use a platform ladder. Like many other companies, Watson Hughes have banned the use of 3-step ladders. Sometimes working on uneven ground is unavoidable, and extra care should be taken to avoid falls and trips. We can do this by implementing the following. Have designated walkways leveled and identified through the site. Introduce suitable stairs or steps if change in levels. Wear suitable footwear. Internal areas can also become hazardous if basic housekeeping rules are not followed. Should you see a hazard, then remove hazard and notify Watson Hughes staff, and these can be added to hazard board if not already present. We are all responsible for our own safety and that of others. End of the day, please clean up your work area. Materials, tools, hazardous materials packed away in designated areas or taken off site. In a friendly manner, talk to each other, and if you pulled up for an unsafe operation, think of it as helping, not hindering your day. Any accident or near miss must be reported to Watson Hughes, and I'm sure your company will also need to be informed. Near misses need to be reported so we can address the issue and hopefully prevent an accident happening. Accidents including degree of pain and discomfort also need to be recorded and appropriate documentation investigation completed. These must also be recorded in accident register. It's important to be comfortable in any condition. Glenn, can I please have a jacket? Some activities require a ticket or certification to show that worker is adequately trained. If you don't hold that qualification, then you will not be allowed to carry out the works. Any powder actuated tools require operator to have a special use permit and license, and tools must have 6-month service sticker in case. Security site access. All persons entering the site are to do so through agreed site entrances only. These will be identified by Watson Hughes staff. Fences must not be cut or opened without prior approval from site manager. As mentioned earlier, all workers must sign daily subcontractors register. Upon exiting site, any person, bag, toolbox or vehicle may be searched by site manager or security guard, providing reasonable grounds are given. Noise, airborne contaminants. Prior to starting a noisy task, check that you have the correct PPE and that workers in proximity have been informed so they can wear hearing protection. When working close to site boundaries, check that public will not be affected by noise. Airborne contaminants also need to be controlled, and this can be achieved by dust extraction from saws, wet sawing and drilling, damping down areas in dry conditions, damping down areas prior to sweeping. Site amenities. Watson Hughes site manager will show locations of toilets, smoker sheds, washing facilities and smoking areas. Please make sure you keep these areas clean and tidy and throw all rubbish into bins or skips provided. If bins are full, either empty into skip or advise Watson Hughes that they need to be emptied, rather than continue to deposit rubbish in the bin. Personal protective equipment, PPE. The following PPE is required on all sites at all times. High-vis, steel cap footwear and hard hat. Your employer will provide required PPE. As hazards can materialise at any time, you need to have access to the following on a daily basis. Air protection, needed when noise levels exceed 85 dB. Respiratory protection, dust masks, etc. from all the asbestos dust. Safety glasses, thank you Glenn, plus any other PPE that is required as a control measure in TAs, safe work method statements, i.e. harness for work at heights. Electrical equipment. All electrical equipment must have an up-to-date tag attached. Failure will result in equipment being removed from site. Get used to checking all your tools and leads once a week and identify equipment that is nearing test and tag date. A tag does not guarantee that tool or lead is safe, only that it was on the date it was tested. So still check equipment for obvious defects. Treat it like a WAF. Your vehicle has a WAF, but someone has taken the steering wheel. Not really safe to use. All workers must be aware of and adhere to Watson Hughes ECP. A plan must be submitted and approved for treatment of paint, plaster, concrete waste either on or off site at a pointed wash disposal centre. Air quality must also be maintained. Additional measures will be required if we are bringing hazardous substances to site. All subcontractors must have updated hazardous substance register with all substances recorded. Safety data sheets must be available for all substances and be valid for 5 years. All relevant documentation must be handed to Watson Hughes to update site files. All chemical spills must be reported to Watson Hughes straight away, and spill kits must be available if working with hazardous substances. This includes petrol, diesel, hydraulics. Plant machinery. All operators are responsible for checking partners with an inspection, maintenance dates and carry out daily pre-start checks. These inspections checks should be recorded in logbook. If plant machinery is out of date, then site manager must be notified and defective plant locked or removed from site. When working around heavy plant, be sure to have eye contact with operator before entering work zone. Permit to work system. Any works that cause a fire hazard, i.e. welding, grinding, gas torch, etc. requires a hot works permit. This will be obtained from site manager, filled out by worker and approved by Watson Hughes before works commence. We're nearly there now. That was genuine. Works in confined spaces also require permit. You just need to confirm that you've also been shown and have access to and understand traffic management plan, site safety rules, segregation of work areas, lockout procedures, instant removal from site, fighting. Physical violence will not be tolerated under any circumstances. Stealing, caught or with stolen equipment. Urinating, use WC blocks only. Boys. Graffiti, do not write on walls or site buildings. Any cleanup costs will be charged to your employer. Unsafe acts, alcohol and drugs, failing test. Watson Hughes carry out random drug and alcohol testing, which we are happy to pay for providing you pass. Should you fail, then your company will be charged for the test and you will be requested to leave site immediately. We operate a warning system: 1, verbal warning; 2, written warning; 3, off-site. No radios. This includes headphones, iPods, etc. No animals. Treat public, client and consultants with respect and refer them to Watson Hughes for any issues. There will be some site-specific issues that we haven't touched on, and the site manager will go over these with you straight after this video. That just about wraps it up. Please check your form and make sure you have completed all areas. Please be safe and look after each other. Oh, this is so cute. Our biggest wish is that you all arrive home every night fit and healthy. Thanks for listening.